Hello, welcome to my first video blog. The idea of this is that every week or two I'll do a little video like this, and I'll just chat a little bit about whatever is on my mind. It's a little less formal than my normal written work on the website, so a little more extemporaneous. It may go well, it may go horribly, I don't know. I figured that I'd start with a nice, easy subject, which would be the issue of immigration. It's been in the news a lot. The state of Arizona has passed a new immigration law which allows the police, when they've stopped somebody for some reason, to confirm immigration status. And if the person is not in the United States legally, they can then be turned over to immigration, customs enforcement, all that stuff. This has always been a very difficult issue for me. On the one hand, I'm a very rule of law kind of person. We have laws, they're written, they go through a democratic process, and then people should follow them. I don't like all of our laws. I certainly think that there's a lot of room for improvement, especially in immigration, but in other areas as well. But that's not an excuse to just blow it off and ignore it. So people who have come into the United States, my political inclination is that we throw the book at them. If they've entered illegally, if they've jumped the fence, or if they've overstayed a visa, anything like that, we should bust them and send them home. The other side, though, is more of a moral side, more of a religious side. As most of my readers and now viewers are probably aware, I am a member of the Catholic Church, and many prominent Catholics, including a number of bishops, have come out in opposition to the law in Arizona, and also take a very, I guess you would call it a liberal stance. I'm not sure that's an accurate word for it, but you would call it a liberal stance on immigration, kind of an open door, everybody come in, kind of approach. And I sympathize a lot with that as well. Pretty much everybody in the United States is an immigrant or is the descendant of an immigrant. There are, of course, exceptions, Native American. But me personally, I'm a mutt. I'm European American. A lot of Eastern Europe, a lot of Poland, either Germany or part of Czechoslovakia, a big mix. I've asked my family, and they don't even know exactly what percentage of what I am. But a lot of British Isles, the UK, Scotland, probably Irish. So I wouldn't be here if we were restrictive with regard to immigration. Immigrants make this country great and should continue to be allowed to make this country great. So where do I fall on this issue? I fall somewhere in the middle. I think that we should be tough on people who have flaunted our laws. I think we should deport people who have entered this country illegally. Having said that, there's exceptions. I don't think we should ever break up families. So when you have situations where there's an illegal immigrant who is married to a resident alien or a legal U.S. citizen, especially if they have children, but even if they don't, we should not be breaking up families. That's inappropriate. How we handle those situations, there's room for debate. But I tend to think, especially when there are children involved, provide a path to legalization. But definitely should never ever break up families, separate parents from children, things like that. We also need to address the need that we have for migrant workers, especially in farming, but in other industries as well. We have an economic need in this country for low-wage migrant workers. We need to provide people from Mexico and from other countries a way to enter the United States legally for the purposes of migrant labor. It's important, though. You know, some people say, well, if you're okay with migrant labor, and if you don't want to break up families, and you want to be open to immigrants, why don't we just let people come in? That's a good question. And it boils down very simply to matters of national security. It is absolutely imperative that the government of the United States secure our borders and know who's coming in and know why they're coming in and know what they're going to do when they get here. I have no doubt that the vast majority of people who have entered this country illegally have done so because they want to support themselves, support their families. They want to have opportunities that they would not have had in their home countries, and I think that's great. And I think we should provide people that opportunity as much as we possibly can. There's, though, a percentage of people who have entered this country with the intent of distributing illegal drugs, with the intent of committing acts of terrorism. You know, many of the 9/11 hijackers, as a fine example, were people who maybe had entered the country legally, but had overstayed their visas and were no longer legally in this country. You know, we need to be able to police it and to make sure that the people who are coming here, as much as we possibly can, are people who have honorable intention. When you allow the status quo to go on, when you allow the border jumping and all this kind of stuff, you've lost the ability to police it at all. And you don't know who's coming in. The fact of the matter is that anybody who says this percentage of immigrants are this and this percentage of immigrants are this, they don't know what the heck they're talking about, because we don't know who's in this country. But I think it's important that we discuss it and we address it. If nothing else, whether you're for or against the controversial law in Arizona, I think we can all agree that the system isn't working. You know, it doesn't make people on the left happy. It doesn't make people on the right happy. Everybody is pretty much in agreement that the system isn't working right. So what we need to do is we need to put the yelling and screaming aside. Put aside calling the conservatives racists and anti-immigrant and all this stuff. You know, let's discuss how we want our immigration policy to work, what kind of people we want to come into our country, what kind of people we don't. And I don't mean that in a racial way. I mean that in a, you know, drug dealer versus migrant farm laborer kind of way. Because the federal inaction, the federal government's failure to do what it is required to do in this case, is forcing states like Arizona to do things like what you're seeing in Arizona. So anyway, I thank you for listening to my rambling talking about the issue of immigration. I hope that I've enlightened you in some way, and until next time, thank you.